Hello, I'm Jim Andrews, Senior Vice President of IEG, here to share with you an excerpt from our upcoming webinar, Maximizing the True Worth of Sponsorships. Now, among the many methods for growing value that are discussed in the webinar is using social media to engage an audience. And we'll share a few examples, one of which is from Volvo and what they've done around their sponsorship of the Big East Conference. And really what they've turned social media into is kind of a new form of media relations or public relations. Not so much focused on traditional media like Sports Illustrated and ESPN, but using their status as the official vehicle of the Big East Conference and the Big East Championships in basketball. They sponsor a season-long promotion that really targets bloggers, and in particularly the social media influencers around each of the 16 schools in the Big East. And as we know, in terms of college basketball, college sports in general, some of these types of sites, these fan sites that are driven by alumni and fans and written by them for them, are really where a lot of the conversation happens, where a lot of the passion is. So Volvo was very smart to get involved with these bloggers. They actually work with the schools to choose one from each school. It's usually an alum, sometimes it's a student who are doing these things. Invite them on campus, give them a Volvo S60 to drive, and obviously these bloggers then post about those experiences back at their alma mater. So it really is a very integrated approach and a way to really take advantage of a new medium and use it in kind of an old-fashioned way to just get the word out about the sponsorship, but a smart move on Volvo's part. So certainly something that properties could do to suggest to their sponsors that they could do something similar if they have that kind of a digital presence through bloggers and other new media types. But it's very important in any conversation about value, about the worth of sponsorships to a brand, to a sponsor, that you consider market factors. There are many of these that really deserve some attention be paid, especially when you're in a negotiating situation, when you're talking about the fee, the price that a sponsor is going to be paid, because they're each one of them going to affect what that ultimate price is, and it's going to be different for each sponsor. For example, the first is we look at any particular sponsor's category and how competitive it is. Some are more active than others when it comes to sponsorship, such as banking or soft drinks. So the desire to own certain sponsorships that your competitors can't have inherently makes some sponsorships more valuable to a brand in those types of categories. And second, some properties are simply more in demand, sponsorship-wise, than others. For instance, a new naming rights opportunity for a stadium that's being built where a top sports team plays. That's, in many cases, those kinds of opportunities have multiple bidders that can actually drive the price up because it's a very limited type of an opportunity that only comes along once every few decades or so in any given market. Another market factor to consider is the property's fit with the sponsor's target audience. A property that attracts the same demographic as the sponsor's existing and prospective customers is obviously more valuable to the sponsor. Or if the sponsor's product or service is somehow endemic to the sport or the organization being sponsored, the package becomes more valuable. If you think of an example of that, something like Wrangler and the Pro Rodeo Cowboys Association. There's such a history there, there's such a connection between jeans and cowboys and rodeos that makes, for Wrangler, for the brand and for that category, this type of sponsorship worth more than it would to a less involved, highly involved type of a product. Another factor that could impact the value of a sponsorship is the sponsor's promotional commitment. For instance, if the sponsor is going to do something to draw more attention and interest to a property, if it's going to advertise the association and really talk up the property, that's going to maybe help sell tickets or bring donors into a cause organization, that is obviously something that is worth, in some cases, more than cash to the property. So that's going to be part of that conversation about what the price is that should be paid, we're really looking at something that's very valuable here, and a smart sponsor is going to say, if we're going to do enough of that type of activity that's going to, again, drive people to you, sell more tickets, raise brand awareness for you if you need that, that's something that needs to be considered in what we're ultimately going to pay. And the same is true with you could look at that type of promotion as value in kind. So when we broaden out in kind to also include other things, other products and services in addition to advertising and promotion, again, you want to look very closely at what is being provided. Is it something that's essential and necessary to the operation of the event or the organization? Is it something that's budget relieving? Would you otherwise have to pay for it? Again, in that scenario, then that type of an in-kind donation, if you will, really does deserve to be treated as cash. So again, it's one of those considerations that's really going to affect the ultimate price that it's paid. Some of those factors are going to move the price upwards, and some are going to move it down. And then the final part of the webinar, what we'll talk about are some examples of IEG consulting clients and how they put some of the concepts that we talk about in the webinar in place, how they've done that in order to maximize their own value. Just to give one quick example, a national healthcare cause. They had experienced some success with sponsorship. They had a lot of brands interested in tying into them, particularly on cause marketing initiatives, as you might imagine. But that had led to a situation where there was a lot of clutter in the marketplace. All of the sponsors were basically receiving the same rights and benefits, but some were actually contributing or paying a lot less than others. So what this really boiled down to was a packaging problem. And the solution that the team here at IEG Consulting developed was to create a packaging strategy that reserved premium rights and benefits for high-level sponsors that were willing to pay for them. And then we also helped develop a lower-level package that provided some basic benefits for the brands and companies that could only come in at that level. As a result of kind of creating those different tiers and really aligning value behind the benefits, the organization really changed the game. It was no longer this free-for-all with just a whole bunch of partners all kind of making the same noise and trying to shout over each other. And in the end, sponsors were more satisfied because the larger sponsors had an opportunity to break through all that clutter, but at the same time, brands with smaller budgets still had an option to partner with this important organization. To learn more about sponsorship's value and true worth, please join me for IEG's Maximizing the True Worth of Sponsorships webinar. I look forward to sharing more information with you there.